Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and measure the squish on this thing. So to measure the squish, it sounds a lot more complicated than what it is. You don't have to have your piston rings on. When you put your head on, you don't have to have the O-rings on because they get smashed flat. The reason you don't have to have your piston rings on, I'll explain. Let me go ahead and get the pistons on real quick and we'll go from there. So first off, we're going to go ahead and set our gaskets on. Okay, so on the pistons, I've already installed the, let's see if I can back up any, no. I've already installed the inside snap rings on both of them, the ones that are going to face inside, that way we can work on the outside with our snap rings, like I've done in our previous video, in my previous videos. So we're going to go ahead and get these pistons on the rods. Alright, looks like you got a pretty good view there, so we're going to go ahead and get our left piston on. Again, we have the C-clip on this side already, so we don't have to worry about that. We can work from the outside. We're going to go ahead and put a little bit of oil inside of our rod. You may not see me do it. I'm going to put a little bit of oil inside the rod, not rod bearing, the wrist pin bearing, and then I'm going to lubricate the wrist pin before I slide it in the piston just a little bit, just like that. And we'll go ahead and get it started into the piston. There we go. Move it around, get it to slide easily. And we'll go ahead and put it on our rod. Just like that. I'm going to wipe off this excess oil so it's not running down all over our gaskets. And then install this snap ring. The way I do it is I push it in. I make sure that wrist pin is pushed in as far as I can. Push this in. Twist it right into place. That's one side. Be careful not to nick the piston. There's the other side. So that one's in. We'll go ahead and do our other side now. So we're just going to roll this engine a little bit. Guide this piston down. Roll the other one up to about top dead center so we have plenty of room. I'm going to unwrap the other wrist pin right now. Okay. Same deal, we're going to lubricate this rod over here. Just a little bit of oil inside the rod. A little bit of oil inside there. Grab our other wrist pin bearing, a little bit of oil on it, inside and outside. Put it in, give it a little spin. A little bit of lube on the wrist pin. Not the part you hold because you'll just make a mess and everything else. Then we're going to start it into our piston. Hopefully y'all are seeing all this. There we go. And then we're going to put this one on. Y'all see me try to put that piston on backwards? Alright, that one's on. Now we're going to wipe off this excess oil. Now we're going to spin this motor around real quick so I can get to that C-clip. Alright, now we're on the right side piston. We're going to install this C-clip. Grab you a fresh towel here real quick. Wipe this off. There we go. And we're just going to push this into place. Just like that. That's that end. And there's that end. Okay. There we go. How you like that, Matt? How's it looking? Alright, now we're going to turn this thing around so we can get the cylinders on it, measure that squish. Alright, so we're just going to roll this motor a little bit till we can get this left piston to its high point. And we'll go ahead and slide this cylinder on. No rings. They're not needed for the squish. Alright, and we'll line this stud up. Slide it right down. Now we're gonna get a couple of cylinder nuts on there. Let me grab those. I had to unpack them. That's the only reason I stopped you guys. I'm gonna put one on here. We're gonna put one on the diagonal side, right up here. Right up here where my hand is. We'll go ahead and snug these down. Using 20,000 space gaskets. Good and snug. Good and snug. Now we're going to roll this motor over, and we're going to get the other cylinder on. Roll at the top. Okay. Move you guys over. Alright. Now we'll set this beauty on. Just like so. 2 more washers, 2 more nuts. Same thing, straight across from each other. One here, one up here. Can you even see what I'm doing? Yeah, I believe you can. And we'll snug these down. Good and snug. Good and snug. Alright, now let's see how we're going to position you guys. Alright, good view there. So the reason it doesn't matter if you have your rings in or not is because, I mean, your cylinder's going to have, your piston's going to have some walk in it, which is, you know, okay. But the thing is, you put this solder in just like, well, wrong way. Just like this, so that it can't roll. Let me see, I think I'm going to actually put it upside down. Put it in just like that, and you put a little loop in there just so that it can't roll. And you just want it situated in there. You can spread it some to tighten it, just so that your solder is right across the top of your wrist pin. That way, even if the piston walks, that's not going to make a difference right there. So I'm going to get this positioned right where I want it. And we're going to go ahead and check this side. There, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to put the head on, torque it, roll it over, and we'll measure it. Alright, so now we'll go ahead and put the cool head on. And again, you don't have to have the O-rings on in there. I don't know if I said this before or not. Some of it might get edited out. So the O-rings get smashed flat, so you don't have to have the O-rings in there. So what I'm going to do is just put a spark plug on there to hold that dome up. So I can just set the dome in the head and then put it on like that. Not worry about the dome falling out of place. Get this head on. Here we go. Now I can pull this plug out of here. I'm too close. Let me pull this head out, this spark plug out of here. Now we're going to go ahead and put on all of our washers and all of our nuts so that we can go ahead and get a good torque on it. Okay, now we're just going to run these down with the impact lightly. Alright, now we're going to grab the torque wrench. Okay, now we'll torque the bolts down to spec. I'm putting 20 pounds on them. Okay, that's torque. So now we just got to roll it over. Alright, now we're just going to roll the engine to compress the solder. Okay, so right there, you can see that it's hitting the solder. So now I'm just gonna put a ratchet on here, on its primary gear here, and just spin it right past. That's it. All there is to it. Now we take it off and measure. Okay, so now we just take these off. Alright, now we'll take these washers off of here. We can lift the head off and pull these off with it, but a lot of times they'll slide off on the floor, just like that one just did, and roll off and you won't find them. So I'm just making sure I get them off of there so I know I've got them when I go to put this back on. Okay, now we just lift the head off. Set this over here on our clean table. Dome. Oh, dropped our solder. We got a nice squish there we can measure. Now I'm gonna aim you guys down here. Now you see there? You see the flattened ends right there? Those flattened ends, we want to measure the thickness. So the light ain't real good here. Let me change to this and we'll measure it. Alright, I got that bay door closed and got rid of that glare. So now you can probably see a little better. There, see that flat spot on the end of the solder there, and that flat spot there? That's what we want to measure. So I'm going to take my calipers, be sure that they are zeroed out, and measure this. And we get, okay, so we're almost 31 thousandths there. And the other side is exactly the same thing, about 31, right at 31. So that's pretty tight, but that's about as tight as you ever want it. But being he's running pump gas domes on this, that Kevin Hurd cut for us, we're gonna be good to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and check the other side, be sure it's equal. Now that you guys know how to check your squish, I mean, get to it. It's not hard at all to do. And I think a lot of guys think, oh man, it's a lot of pain, a lot of trouble. I have to take my, raise you up. I gotta pull my cylinders off, squeeze the rings back in, mess with the O-rings and all that mess. You don't have to do that. All you do is put the cylinder on and be sure that you did it just like I did, where your solder is gonna measure right across the top of the wrist pin and you're good to go. That's all there is to it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these cylinders back off. We'll get the rings on it and get everything bolted down the way it should be.